Welcome to Aikido for Emotions, the program that puts you in charge of your emotions, your life, and your destiny. This is Module 2, Lesson 3, Acceptance. Not long ago, a friend of mine told me that there were two questions that he always asked before he got upset about something. And the first question was, am I trying to do battle with myself? And the second question was, am I trying to do battle with reality? And these are really valid questions that apply very directly to this process, the acceptance process. Because the acceptance process allows us to end the war, the battles, the conflict that most of us seem to have with our own emotions. We love some emotions. We embrace them. We accept them with glee or with resignation. But there are other emotions that we reject. We feel guilty for experiencing them. We feel shame that, oh, I shouldn't feel that, or it's not right to feel that, or any of a hundred reasons. But the bottom line is that all of us have emotions that we simply don't accept. And not accepting our emotions translates into not accepting ourselves and not accepting the reality around us. It's perfectly all right to want to change ourselves, to want to change the reality around us. But before we do that, we learn to accept ourselves as we are, the perfectly imperfect beings who have all the resources we need to make all of the changes we want. So there's no reason for battles. And before we start changing the world, we need to accept and understand what it is that's around us. Now, the process itself. This is a process that I've been doing in one way, shape, or form for 20 or 30 years. Within the last few years, I worked with a marvelous coach called Christian Michelson, who has a variation on this, on what I do, that he calls the peace process. I like it because it's neatly bundled up, it's concise, and it's direct. So what you're hearing on the acceptance process is based not only on the years of work that I've been moving people towards the idea of accepting themselves and accepting the world around them, but it's structured based on the peace process that Christian taught me. So thank you, Christian. Now, many of you have probably had the experience of dealing with a friend, an associate, who had something on their mind, something they needed to work out, and they wanted you to be with them. They didn't want you to fix it. They didn't want you to talk about it. They didn't want you to help them analyze it. They didn't want your judgment. They just wanted you to be there and accept it. And that's very much what the acceptance process is all about. It's really quite simple. It's a matter of inner mindfulness and acceptance. So here's the way it works. First, I'd like you to find an emotion that's slowing you down or blocking you completely from doing something that you want to do. It'd be very appropriate to choose the emotion that you chose for the emotional control process, because there's an emotion that you know with certainty that you have complete control over. And once you've brought that emotion up and feel it, step into it, wear it, be in it. Don't think about it. Don't remember what it was like. Be there. Feel it now. Experience it now. And notice where the sensations are the strongest. And you can even take a finger and point to that place in your body where the sensation is strongest. And once you have that in your mind, be present with those sensations, with that emotion. I tend to think of this as like there's a little park bench, and there's this sensation as either as a little person or as this curious entity that I'm aware of that's in some way part of me. And it's there near the bench or on the bench, and I'm sitting on the bench as well. I'm sitting there being with them, being present in the now. I'm not jumping off into the future. I'm not jumping into the past. I'm not making judgments. I'm not analyzing. I'm not trying to fix. I'm just there in the spirit of acceptance. That's right. Being there. Now, I know perfectly well that unless you're an amazing person, you're going to find yourself in your head analyzing, judging, thinking about fixing, thinking about something every now and then as you go through this process. Now, some of you are wired to say, oh, darn, I screwed it up. Or I did it wrong. I have to start all over again. No. Finding yourself in your head is a perfectly normal occurrence. Don't get excited about it. Don't fight it. Remember, this is part of the acceptance process. Accept the reality that you're going to find yourself in your head every now and then, and just think to yourself, oops, I'm in my head again. Time to go and be present with that sensation and go back to being present with the sensation in a spirit of acceptance. Now, emotions, if you've ever watched children, tend to last somewhere between a minute and 2 minutes, most of them. They come up, we experience them, and as long as we're accepting them, they do what I call resolving themselves. They seem to just fade away, or they may increase for a while and then disappear. They may diminish and disappear. They may even transform into some other sort of emotion. But in all cases, they resolve themselves. So expect that to happen. Now, the sensation that you're with, you're being present with it, and you're sort of pointing at where the most intense part is with your finger. That sensation may actually increase for a while as you allow yourself to become more aware of it. It may decrease. It may move around, and that's one reason that you're pointing your finger at it, because if it moves around, I want you to follow it with your finger. It may jump from here to here and back again, back and forth. It may transform into something else. In all cases, keep your finger with it. That helps you stay present with it. The finger and moving it around reminds you, oh yeah, it's here. That's where I'm supposed to be. Keep track of the emotion, of the sensation of the emotion, and notice how it changes as it resolves. If it's changing in any way, if it's increasing, if it's decreasing, if it's moving around, if it's transforming, it's resolving. It's doing what it needs to do to resolve. Accept that. No one knows, not even you consciously, what this emotion will do, what these sensations will do, how they will resolve themselves. All you need to know is that they will resolve themselves, and your job is to be present with them as they do that. You might keep track occasionally to there's a scale that we call subjective units of discomfort scale. And the scale goes from 0, which means sensation. What sensation? I'm not aware of any sensation. To 10, which means, oh my God, I can't tolerate this. I'm going to explode in a second. I can't take this. That's a 10. 0 means you're not even aware of it. So notice where you are on that scale every now and then. Every time you've noticed that, oh, there's a real shift has happened. Ask inside, check where this is on the scale, because it helps you to be aware of how the emotion is resolving. And when it gets down to a 1 or a 0.5 or a 0, you're done. You say, oh, you may say at a 1, I'm aware of it, but it's certainly not going to stop me, and it's not going to slow me down, and it's not going to get in my way. So that's all I need. Then you're done. The emotion is resolved. You've accepted it. Then it's time to bring it up again and notice what happens. Bring it up again. Imagine yourself in the situation where this emotion comes up. Feel it and notice, be with it as it resolves. Sometimes, depending on the emotion, it makes sense to send it love, because acceptance doesn't mean you like it. It just means that you accept that, yeah, this is part of me. I might as well accept it. Sending it love means you're recognizing that it's serving some sort of purpose in your life, that it's protecting you, it's looking after you, it's making you stronger, some sort of positive purpose. And you're in a position to be able to send it love. If you feel uncomfortable doing that, don't do it. Do not be phony with yourself. That's silly. Only send it love if it feels like the right thing to do. And just keep doing that until, even when you bring the emotion up, it's barely enough to notice, but not enough to interfere. Then you're really done with the process. You have accepted yourself as you are. Congratulate yourself. Do a mental pat yourself on the back, or give yourself a high five, a cheer, a backflip, however you want to celebrate. And then move on to experiencing life in the present, enjoying it, focusing on what you want.